Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and welcome to This Week in WoW for the week of October 1st. Just getting into spooky season. Before we get started, let's go ahead and thank the Patreon subscribers. We have Mario Casillas, Rhett Pally Rocks, Nick Rada, and Peter Burnham. Thank you guys so much for the support. Appreciate it so much. Let's go ahead and talk about what's going on in the game this week. So, we do not quite have the Mythic Plus. We're assuming it's going to be a rotation set, but we do know that it's going to be back to Tyrannical this week for keys low enough that only have one, because eventually when you get high enough, you have 4 plus Tyrannical. So for even the casual key enjoyer, it'll be Tyrannical this week, and then the Xalatath bargain for this week. We're down to 2 choices, so it's either going to be the Dispel one. So if you have any Dispel in the game, it works. They tried to make as many, things work for this as possible. I think like some non-Dispel things work as well. I only really memorized mine because, it's what I play. So like Cleanse Toxins works, Magic Dispel works. I think Curse Removal works. It basically counts as everything. And so you can Dispel this off of yourself, assuming you have one. If you're one of the few specs that maybe there are specs out there that don't have a Dispel for this, then you will need some help, but you Dispel this thing. That's how one of them works. The other one is a large health, not a large in stature, but a large health ad that spawns on the tank's location, and you need to kill this ad. So you basically want to, change target to it, single target down if need to. Maybe you can cleave off of it, but you do want to kill this ad. And it, like I said, it spawns on the tank. I think I did read it, actually. It's not that I think I did read, but I don't know if it's accurate. That it's actually threaded, a threat mob. So like tank needs to get threat on this thing as well. Not that that's hyper important. I don't think it does damage, but it will like go out of the pack. Let's say it spawns in a pack. And for some reason the tank doesn't hit it. I don't even know why. Maybe they're gathering up a big pull. You can pull threat on it and it'll like slowly walk towards you. I don't think it hits you. I'm not sure, to be honest. But the little bit of playing around I did with it on beta was I think it worked a little bit differently, and even if it was threaded, the tank always had it if it was, but I don't think it was. So yeah, those are the 2 options basically. Either one big mob that you kill or a Dispel. Those are the only 2 we have left, and then we assume that those will just go in a rotation, and then we'll know each week what the affixes are. So that's where we are for the Mythic Plus stuff. When it comes to what else is going on, we have Brewfest still continuing on throughout this week. And you have until Sunday to do Brewfest. So if there's still some stuff you need to do there, maybe you haven't had a chance because you've been busy doing other stuff in the game or whatever, there is the new stuff that they added from last year. I don't believe they added anything new for this year, but there was stuff that they added last year that you could try to do. Just little stuff like a skywriting appearance change for one of the skywriting mounts. I don't know how valuable that is now that every mount can skyride. I think maybe they have to think into that, like how to customize maybe some more famous mounts, like I don't know, Time Lost Prodrake. That's a famous mount, right? Even if it's not hard to get anymore, it's still like a famous mount. I don't know. They should probably add some customizations there, but you can do that. You have until Sunday to do that. On Sunday as well, the Darkmoon Fair will be here. Just as I reminded you last month, if you go to the Darkmoon Fair, you can actually get profession knowledge there. This is still very valuable up until about the time when people are maxing out their profession knowledge. This is extremely valuable because it's basically free profession knowledge that you don't have access to otherwise. And this is for the crafting, or I think it's for all the professions, even the gathering ones. So yeah, you go to Darkmoon Fair, there'll be a little extra quests there than normal, not just play the games and stuff. You go grab those quests, do them. They're really fast, really easy. Just like collect crap on the floor or whatever. For the blacksmithing one, I have to just go pound some horseshoes on an anvil real quick. They're pretty easy. Turn them in and get profession knowledge. So very valuable there to do. Other than that, we have PvP Brawl, South Shore versus Tar Mill if you're a big PvP player. And what I thought was really interesting, this is the first time I noticed this, we actually have a Delves bonus event. So we have the Dungeon bonus event. I'm wondering what the reward is going to be from this. I think it's very likely, based on the Great Vault, that the Delve bonus event could possibly award heroic raid eye level loot. Now, I don't think it'll be actual loot from the raid, but it could be heroic, like eye level equivalent gear from this. I'm not sure on that by any means. I'm sure somebody's on the PTR and has maybe tried this out or something. I haven't heard anything about it though. It would make sense for it to be, but maybe not. Maybe it will not be that good, but it would very much make sense to be, especially because they want people to be liking delves, especially solo players, and this would be a very big bonus to doing delves this week if you could get a nice piece of loot that you wouldn't otherwise have access to as a solo player. So delves bonus event. I'm very interested to see what this is all about, how this works. If it is a very nice piece of loot, this will be something that I probably do on all my alts, for example, that I don't raid on or even really do Mythic Plus on. Occasionally I might do a Mythic Plus on an alt, but yeah, this would be very good gear for any of those characters that I have. So we have that as well. I did want to touch a little bit on the Race to World First, which came to a conclusion a few days ago now. Liquid did come away with the victory there. I'm not a big esports guy by any means, but I did find it interesting. I always find it fun watching, especially the last boss. I watch a little bit on the earlier bosses sometimes, just to kind of know how the fights work before I ever get to them with my guild. So yeah, I was really enjoying it, and I feel like they very much deserve the win. There's always the argument of global release and they don't get a head start, but they finished the raid well ahead of the other teams or the EU teams or whatever. So they knocked it out of the ballpark as far as progressing this raid. The last fight was extremely hard and extremely, like, especially as far as a gear check. I think that fight's going to be dramatically easier as we get more gear. By the time my guild gets to Queen Ansarek, I think it's going to be like, maybe a quarter of the polls that they took to do it, because it's going to be something that's very made easier by gear, whereas something like the Sulking Court, the second to last boss, is made easier by gear 100%, but not as much easier by gear as some of the other fights might be, because of the one-shot mechanics and stuff like that. But Queen Ansarek should be a fight that gets much easier with gear. That being said, their gear was 10 plus item levels lower than what like my guilds will be when we kill it. So it's going to be pretty much, and it probably still will get nerfed as well. So it's going to be a dramatic difference by the time a casual Mythic guild gets there. But I thought that was very interesting. I enjoyed watching it very much. It's always a nice little reset to me. As someone who doesn't watch Twitch a lot, someone who doesn't watch streams that much or anything, let alone esports, it was a nice little reset. I was watching that, and in my evening time, I was watching that instead of anything else. And like, I have a bunch of podcasts to catch up on, and it was a nice little reset that way. Kind of like a little mini hobby thrown in there, I guess, for a short time. So that was actually really nice. As far as raid goes, we did get into the Mythic raid a little bit more. We almost got Rosharon down on our first week of fully Mythic raiding. So we almost got 4 of 8 or whatever the first week. First 3 are pretty dang easy. Rosharon's not bad either. We were just learning the fight and stuff, and avoiding some very common mistakes. Our item level is also a bit lower than a lot of what a lot of guilds are who are clearing Rosharon right now. Our item, we have, including myself, right? My item level, I think that raid night was like 613 or something like that. And a lot of people are over 620 or around 620. And then, of course, the world first guilds were much higher than that. But yeah, so I don't expect it to be too much of trouble after this reset of gear and Great Vault and stuff like that. I'd expect it to be a little bit easier this coming week. So we should be done there. Been enjoying Mythic Plus a decent amount. Been doing a lot of Mythic Plus. And I'm looking forward to opening up my Great Vault, which that video will be out this week. Basically 12 hours or so after this video comes out. Have a Great Vault video, which I will have 2 Mythic Plus slots unlocked at running plus 10, so the Mythic track, plus 1 Myth track thing on the raid as well, from doing 3 of the Mythic bosses in the raid. So be very much looking forward to see what kind of Myth track item I can get, and if it's actually something I want or is usable. So that'll be very, very cool and interesting to see as well. Other than that, like I said, just having a lot of fun. Been playing the game still a ton. Like, to say that I've gotten my money's worth out of the War Within already would be an understatement. This game is really good. Like, if you're anybody who's like, I don't know if I like, if it's just good as a game. Like, maybe you're a Ret Paladin who watches the content for Ret stuff. Ret's in a pretty good spot too. Ret was in on the world first kill of Queen Ansarek, and it's really powerful in dungeons as well. So Ret's actually pretty good right now. You might not like the play style of it, but Ret's good if you're a Ret subscriber. But the game in general is pretty good. So yeah, I've just been playing a lot, honestly. It's like all my free time I'm playing World of Warcraft, which is great. I love World of Warcraft, but that's not always been the case, right? I've always loved World of Warcraft, but I wasn't spending my free time playing World of Warcraft in much of Shadowlands. I wasn't spending my free time playing World of Warcraft in parts of BFA. And whereas now Dragonflight, I was spending a good amount. And this, so far at the beginning of this expansion, I mean, this is just, I'm having fun playing. It feels, they've managed to both make it feel seasonal, which I like because that's the content that I do. And then also feel like an MMO with like the crafting and the gathering and stuff like that. And gold prices and stuff. People are complaining about gold prices. I don't mind it. It kind of make it, I might be on an island on this, but I kind of like it. It feels like an MMO. It feels like when I go and mine for an hour, like, yeah, that might feel like a big waste of time, but I'm usually doing something else while I'm doing that. If I go mine for an hour, I just made a ton of gold, or I saved a ton of gold, right? And yeah, you can just, buy a token or whatever, but I choose not to do that. It's like my immersion or whatever. Yes, I could buy tokens. That's something I could do, but I choose not to because my immersion is that, I make my gold in the game, basically. I'm not an RPer by any means, but I do kind of like to think of it that way. So yeah, like just want to do almost like a little PSA there. There's a lot of people talking about it during the Race to World First broadcast that the game is just in a good spot. And so I have mentioned every week how much fun I'm having, but it's worth just shouting out and saying like, wow, like this is actually really good. So I think that's worth saying sometimes, especially when it's, it's worth saying when it's true, basically. So that'll be it for this one, guys. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. If you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to at least check out the Patreon. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.